In the last lesson, I taught you a little bit about the verb to have. Today we're going to finish up to have, at least in the present tense, and then I'm going to show how easy it is to make to have into to need. It's really easy. Okay, so here we see to have conjugated in the present tense. I normally don't put a chart on the board quite like this, and it does look like a lot to look at. But don't worry, I'll explain it. First of all, we have, obviously to have is hebben. We talked about that in the last video. And if you want to say I have, you just say ik heb. And if you want to say you have, then you say jij or je, or if you want to use the formal form, you say u hebt. Hebt. And then when we get into he, she, and it, you'll notice that it's the same word for all three. Remember that zij can also be said ze. So hij, zij, and het or ze, heeft. Heeft. And you'll notice here on the last part that all three of these are the same here as what we call the infinitive verb. So what do we actually call these? You'll hear some people say first person singular or second person plural or something like that. So what does that mean? Up here on the top, we have I have. The I form is the first person singular. And then here we have the second person singular, the you form. And the he, she, and it form is the third person singular. And then down here, these are all plurals. But it works the same way as it does up here. First person plural, second person plural, third person plural. I won't always use that terminology, but if I do, or if anyone else does, then you'll know what they're talking about. Now let's look at some examples on how to use all this. For example, I have a pen. How would you say that? I have a pen would be ik heb een pen. Ik heb een pen. If I want to say you have a pen, then it's pretty easy to do. First of all, we change the ik to either je or jij. Or if you want to use the formal form, you can say u. And then the heb, we add the t, so it's hebt. Je hebt een pen. And if you want to say he has a pen, then you say hij heeft een pen. Remember that hij can also be used for the word it if we're talking about something that's a do word. She has a pen is very easy too. You just replace the hij with zij. Zij heeft een pen. And remember that zij or ze can also mean they. But in this case, you're using the word heeft, and that means it's going to be she right here, not they. If you did want to use they, then this would be hebben instead. You can also use ze. And if you're talking about inanimate objects, you can use die. And remember, if you want to create a question, you use inversion. We've done this before, but just as a quick review, we would take the hebt and bring it over here. And remember to leave the t off. Just say hep. And then bring the ja and put it over here. And then finish off the sentence. Heb je een pen? Do you have a pen? Of course, if we wanted to, we could change this to jij or the formal u. However, if you use u, then you want to leave the t on here. Only time we take the t off when we're using inversion is when we want to talk about you as in je or jij. Another quick example. Heeft zij een doos? Meaning, does she have a box? Here's another example. Hebben we genoeg tijd? It says, do we have enough time? And of course we could replace the word we with wij. Hebben wij genoeg tijd? Now check this out. This says, do you have a pen? But if I just add the word nodig to the end of the sentence, it becomes, do you need a pen? Heb je een pen nodig? You can think of the word nodig as like a word that means need, but it's not like a verb. It's more like a noun. Like, do you have need of a pen? Heb je een pen nodig? Okay, now check out these two sentences. Ik heb het koud. Now, we know the word koud from our weather lesson. It means cold. But what about this? I have the cold. This is how you would say I am cold in Dutch. Instead of saying I am cold like we say in English, we say I have the cold. Kind of sounds like we're talking about a disease, but this just means I'm cold. And then the second sentence, ik heb een jas nodig. Jas means jacket, so this says I'm cold, I need a jacket. Now, if I got outside and realized I really didn't need a jacket, I would say ik heb geen jas nodig, for I don't need a jacket. We're using geen right here instead of niet. And that's because if I were to say I don't have a jacket, the way I would say it is I have not a jacket. And remember, not a always translates to geen. So, I don't need a jacket. Ik heb geen jas nodig. So, to have and to need are pretty easy. In the next lesson, we're going to look at modal verbs. And modal verbs are like can I, may I, to want, even to go can be a modal verb. And we're going to see what happens when we put more than one verb in the sentence. Tot de volgende keer!